Hello, happy Feral Monday. I just ran up the stairs. I don't know why. I got excited to get up here. We're doing this. We're doing one of these because all week I wanted to use them. Feral Monday, we're going to get, look at that, looks like a filter. Feral Monday, we're going to get a little bit more wild, a little bit more feral, if you will. I have to breathe, hang on those stairs. But I want to do more looks with this, well, with each one, and kind of just do it a little bit more wearable. So that'll be fun. Are we excited? I'm excited. I already want to get wild. I want to carve out my brow. I have not carved my brows in a very long time. What this does is it just adds a lot of definition to the brow. Keeps it really nice and clean. I'm actually, this is kind of interesting. I like to use a pot concealer for this. And the reason why is you can see it has such a dry texture. This one's from NARS. I do love these. I think this is one of the few products that I use all the time from NARS. I used to love their blushes, but the reformulation made them not as fantastical. But 𝗕𝗲𝗂𝘂𝘁𝗲, the greeny. Let me explain why I like this. When something has a drier consistency, that generally means more pigment, more control. And that's exactly what I want around my brow. If I get a concealer that's too wet, it can start to even mess up brow wear time. So many different things it can change. So it's really important to use something really, really dry, especially when we're doing something more intricate like this. Do you see how dry that is? I would not like that underneath my eye, but for cleanup work, tidying, lip lines, this is probably, or a blemish. It's really, really good. Right now I have this little blemish situation here. A little bit of that underneath our foundation is delightful, scrumptious even. So if you're looking for something like that, I really think you would like this concealer. But underneath the eye, it's definitely too dry. All right, I'm just gonna blend this out a little bit. This was the 2016 fade that I always wanted. I didn't know what I was doing then. I still don't know what I'm doing. But I'm getting results closer to what I had envisioned in my head. I will say it is important if you do want to spot conceal to use a really dense brush to press it in. And even around here, I know it seems like an extra step, but this type of density doesn't have to be this brush. I ain't even gonna tag the brush. I'm not even gonna tell you what it is. But that being said, this type of density is so important to get things very, very smooth across the skin because that helps with wear time. It even helps the way that it lays across the skin. It helps everything. So a dense brush for, especially once you get it placed, to smooth something out like this is so important. I do have two shades. I kind of went back in with the lighter one just to brighten it a hair. So Creme Brulee and Honey. These are my two little workhorses right here. Time for some clean canvas. Whenever I want full coverage, just perfection, I want clean canvas. Now remember, this is a little bit more tacky, which is what I want going into the next steps, but around my brow to carve. And if you wanted to spot conceal like I showed you here, it's important to use the drier base. It's really important to learn dry times, dry bases, textures. I know it's a lot of yap, but understanding textures is so important. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit, dense brush. Okay, and I'm just gonna take this from my lash line. Now, I don't really know where this is heading. I'm thinking cut crease, but I still don't really know. So I might need this all over my lid. That's why you'll see me clean up later because I would rather have options than have to come back in and put more base on. It's easier to take it off. Feral Monday means we're starting with black eyeshadow. Also, I'm gonna paint my nails after this. Don't judge me. Listen, I have two brushes here. Because with black eyeshadow, I'm not even attempting to get this size brush. Even this size, the E28, that's too much. We're not there yet. So I don't have hooded eyes and I have rather large lids, if you will, and I'm still gonna reach for small brushes. In fact, I'm gonna put this one down. I'm gonna put the E27 down. I'm gonna start with our tiniest brush. I'm gonna coat that. This is a Viseart black eyeshadow, by the way. This one's out of stock, but it'll be back soon. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start mapping. And this is important. You see that fold in my eye right there? Do you see how I went above that? Now at this point, I am very familiar with my eye shape, so I knew exactly where to place this. And I also did something I don't want you to do, and that's shut my eye, but that's only because I am so familiar. So if you're not familiar, it really helps to even hold your chin like I am still doing after all of these years. Hold your chin, relax. Now I will say turning your head helps as you're getting in there, and even as you're going, I was saying as you're going over here. Nice. And don't worry about it looking a little messy. Underneath here never matters. Don't even think of that. It can be distracting. It can, but just block it out, because what we're focusing on is keeping the black pretty thin from here to the brow. That's where we want it to be its thinnest. Don't even think about it from here to here. Only think about it from here to here. I think we need to cut crease. I do. It's been a long time. Plus, it'll give us a lot of lid space here to look at this pretty iridescent flip shadow. See, I can see the end result, but years ago I couldn't, so I would have already thought that this was absolute chaos and probably would have wiped it off. That right there would have thrown me off. No bother. Don't even worry about it. You're trusting the process. I know you are. We are going to switch brushes. I'm going to take a wispity wisp of the black eyeshadow now, and I'm going to start pushing it onto the existing black that's there. But what I'm trying to get here is a little bit of a transition, which we're already seeing. See that? That's a nice little transition. I'm going to try to not make this go up to my brow bone too far. And I really want the black to kind of be the star here. But we have to start this first transition to get another dark shade on top of that transition. So it needs to be a little hazy and a little fuzzy. And we're getting there. Nice. Don't worry about it. Now it's important, we need to take our brush, our E27, we need to make sure it's nice and wiped off. If you don't know, this is Sheila. Sheila's washed, but this Sheila in particular has seen a few Halloweens. And if you're ever wondering, originally I had a pink towel that I just started calling Sheila. And instead of doing t-shirts, sweatshirts, just regular merch, we all wanted our own Sheila. So I feel like a makeup towel is just so useful, and it's something that we will have for a very, very long time. And there's no particular reason why she's called Sheila. She is just Sheila. Now that this is wiped off, I'm going to switch over to this Cool Mattes palette, also Viseart. And then I'm grabbing, let me double check which one. Yeah, it was that one. And I'm just tapping this right above the black. Just make sure it becomes really nice, friends. Ooh, and it is. You can do a couple little, see how I'm just going, you can do the sound effect too. Highly recommend the sound effect. But at first I'm pressing it to really get it into the black, and then we can do some kind of little circular motions. But you just want to be a little bit mindful of the circular motions and make sure you're holding it very far back. That way you don't overwork the eyeshadow and it doesn't become patchy. So you know how I talk about a puff setting evenly and all at once, and when we're wearing a certain amount of product, a certain amount of concealer, we need to set with a puff. Because if you put on I don't know. I need to do a video on that, but there's a certain amount that you get to that needs to be set with a puff. And then there's a small amount that you could absolutely set with a brush, like the puff brush. So here on my lids, that's quite a bit of product. So I want to set with a puff. So I'm going to take this shade. This is also Viseart. It's in the shade Beige. And I'm going to take it on a puff. And also what a puff can do, I'm just making sure it's nice and even across the puff. And I'll even make sure I don't have too much. Perfect. But what a puff can do is, I'm actually just going to hold this back. And remember, this isn't something we're going to do every single day. But it just gets in here and sets so evenly. It also distributes more product. Isn't that cool? I don't know. I think it's cool. I get excited. And I'm never going back and forth. Just lightly press. And it just kind of finishes and blurs. But we can take the E27. This is the one we use with the black shadow. I'm just wiping it on Sheila. I'm going to take a little bit of a light shadow and then just push that right on the highest point of my brow bone. Such a nice blur. So I had an idea. Because I want to see this, I don't know which one we're using, but I want to see it, because remember, they're going to have more of a translucent base. It's very, very pigmented, but once we apply it with a certain brush, see how you can still see my skin through it right there? That's a good thing. But that also means that if we do a little bit of black base, and I'm going to use this as a black base, it's very, very black, but I thought it would be kind of fun to connect it here. That way we can see it, the shadow on top of a black base. Look at how black that is. It's good stuff. Okay, where's my E27? Just kind of lightly tap it and connect it there. We're just wanting to make sure it's nice and thin. And once I have this nice and smoothed out, we'll get a clear base, apply it over here, and then we'll have a 2-for-1 special. Look at how cool that is. We have fun. I do like this Sephora collection one. It dries down, but it's probably the most tacky clear base in my collection as opposed to the one that's being discontinued. I'm gonna keep my eyes shut. That way it doesn't transfer to the black. I'm just gonna smooth it out. Bring it over here. Tap, 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 tap. I'm not going to say that this is completely similar to the Milk, but it's in that same realm, and this one's really, really affordable. So this is Phantom Rainbow. I'm going to link this shadow, and you can buy it just by itself. Okay, and I'm really loading up one side, and I'm going to go ahead and start to kind of press and pull this down. Stunning. And then this is what I was talking about. I might switch to a smaller brush to take it into the black over here. But everything looks different depending on the base. I love it. Okay, let me grab an E27 over here just so I can get this a little bit further. Fun. We made a good choice. I am going to leave this eye unfinished because I thought I would film it. I feel like this shadow deserves its own video, but we're gonna definitely finish this up. And I think what I want to do is I'm gonna take a little bit of this, and I'm actually not going to do liner from here, but I did want to do a little bit of an inner corner liner. That should be good for now. I'll have to get everything else finished before I extend, if I extend it. But I love makeup. I'm doing Wild Child Halvesies from Lily Lashes. Ooh, it's a cutie pie. Now I do kind of just keep shaping it to the eye especially since these are body heat activated. The more that they warm up, the more pliable and sticky they get. But I also feel because they are body heat activated, they're so much easier to adjust to an eye shape as opposed to regular glue that dries down and then it's kind of like, this is where I'm at. You can always do a little bit of adjusting without sliding with these. I love them. I love them when they weren't an ad. I love them while they are an ad. I will love them after when they are no longer an ad. And back, I went and made myself some coffee. What else did I do? Cat stuff. Listen, there's one thing I'm gonna do. I'm actually just gonna finish this eye. I can put the shimmer on top and just touch up if needed in a little while. But if there's one thing that I am going to put in my bio now, that's cat herder. That's all I do. My life is encompassed by cats. Would I have it any other way? No. But I'm a cat herder. Hey, look what I repurchased. I thought we could open it together. Double Wear 4C1 Outdoor Beige. That's my summer shade. I'm so excited. They were out of my shade at Ulta, so I did order it. No, yeah, I ordered it from Sephora. They have my shade. Now this is important. And you know what? I never mind that this does not come with a pump because of the way I apply it. Might as well use their concealer too. I think we should. But I want to use the lighter shade to highlight. So the black shadow's pulling all kinds of just downright diabolical things underneath here. So what we're gonna do is do a touch of color correct, and I'm literally gonna shake this even longer. I know it's wild, but it makes a difference. Now, what I wanna try, I don't know if I recommend this yet, and also if my lash looks a little wonky, I'm waiting for it to heat up some more, because I'll just put the shimmer on around that later. Shake this up too. This is shade 3.5C, and I wanna see if I can wear it under like I do the NARS, because this one is self-setting. Let's just see. Let's not recommend it. Let's not go out and start doing it. Let me be the little tester here. I feel like the way that you have to blend this is better on top already, because watch this. Again, that's what we're doing. I'm just testing stuff out. We're seeing what's going on. I don't know where my C30 went. There it is. Let me grab the NARS, and then this is the NARS Pot Concealer, and this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. It's just so thick that it immediately kind of clings to the issue and covers it, and then foundation goes on top of it better. So that was just a test. I love this concealer and I'm about to use it. But for that kind of under spot concealing, I think this is still ideal. I did want to try it, but it's still just too wet. And it comes down to, yes, this is wildly pigmented, amazing, but it comes down to texture. And that's how important understanding textures can be. Do some correcting. Right now, this shade is actually pretty close to my skin tone, so I'm thinking I might need to get a darker one, which I think I have. Let me check. Kind of the whole idea behind these is to let them be very close to your skin tone so they just kind of melt in and you can wear them alone. I like to use them as correctors. So I'm going to grab the shade Daybreak, and this one is going to be a true corrector shade on me. Here, let me swatch it so you can see the difference. It just has more depth, and that's what I'm needing right now. Now that I'm a little bit more tan, this shade just kind of blends into my tan, and I really want to cancel blue. So again, that makes so much sense, right? You get it. Just a little bit more depth, but this one I can actually wear as concealer right now. And that's the point, but I want to use this as an actual true corrector. So I'm going to go ahead, take our dense end here. And remember, makeup's going on top, so don't be afraid, but how thin you get this right now is so important. If you've ever tried to layer products and it hasn't been successful, for one thing, you might have needed something that was more pigmented, so you could use less. If I tried to use this, I would have to use more, then I could wind up getting creasing, because I still want to use foundation and concealer because it's just going to make everything look so seamless and full coverage. But that being said, One thing, your product wasn't pigmented enough. Don't you look at that. Or don't you look at that either. And then the other thing is, it wasn't thinned out across the skin enough. Now, never be afraid to just layer if you need to. But I would rather you layer than go in and go because then that product doesn't really know where to go, what to do. Even your brush, your sponge, whatever you want to use, it doesn't really know what to do. But what it can understand is thin layers, pigmented product, and a dense brush to make sure it's super thin across the skin. Hey, I'm not filming in between right now because I'm just going to wait till the end. Let's listen to some music. I think I was listening to 90s rock the other day. Yeah, there's cake, but let me put it over here. I feel like I'm on a live, like a real influencer. Just trying to put music on. Now I'm overstimulated. Oh, man. Get over there. Okay. On the areas I know don't really need corrected, I'm going to flip to this side that randomly got into some powder, and I'm just going to smooth and kind of thin that out really thin because I don't really need the corrector there. It's not blue, and that's essentially what I'm correcting, was the blue that the black pulls from underneath here. Yes, it's too dark. I want it to look too dark. You would want yours to look too dark. And if you're still struggling, I was drinking my coffee, with your corrector kind of mixing with your concealer, what you can do is take a corrector, take an eyeshadow that is similar in color, okay? This is way too intense, but you could absolutely use it because it's in the realm of what we're after. And I'm looking for the fluffy brush. You want an E29. This is not scary. You can absolutely do this because if I set with a loose powder, that might be too much, but if I set with a translucent powder, loose powder, it could change the color. It could dull it, it could make it gray, especially if you have a deeper skin tone. This is more talking, and I will say I'm going to do this to teach you because I teach for every skin tone, everyone. We just have fun here with makeup. But if you have a really fair skin tone, you might not need to do this, but this can really help if you have a deeper skin tone. But this is really, really great because I'm taking that fluffy brush and I am ever so lightly tapping this on. And again, I would want you to build. And yes, concealer is going to lay just fine on top of this. I don't know where we got the idea that powders with liquids is chaos. It's only chaos if someone doesn't walk you through it. Once you learn dry times, textures, all of this becomes free reign. It's just a big fun time of mixing powders and liquids and all of that. There's nothing clickbaity. It's just something artists have done for a million makeup years. So I'm taking that again, and this not only kind of makes sure that it's not going to turn too gray, it makes sure that that corrector, especially when you have a deeper skin tone, you have very, very pigmented correctors, it makes sure that it's not going to mix with your concealer. I know that's a lot of yap, but I just want you to have fun and understand correctors, setting, powders, all of it. All right, back to shaking this again because it's been literally 3 business days since I shook it. I thought I was going in there, but then I wanted to teach some more. Anyways, this is why I don't mind not having, where's my spatula? Not having a pump, because I do this. Oh, I forget how good this matches for me in the summer. And if you've never tried a spatula with double wear, it gets it so thin that you're able to work quickly, but it doesn't dry too quickly. Oh, that match. Scrumptious. Delicious. And then I did dip back in, but I always have a little bottle of spray alcohol. So I think of things, even though this is all my personal makeup and I could absolutely be a little gremlin goblin in here, I do think of hygiene because I know a lot of working makeup artists, but obviously a working makeup artist, you would pour this out onto a palette. I can't think. And then you could do the spatula technique. But if you want to not even worry about pouring it out, spray something with alcohol, wipe this in between dipping. But I will say double wear will dry down. So you do want to kind of keep in mind about dry times. Also, skin prep's important, but that's on my saved highlights, and I can do an updated one. Not much has changed, but I like for it to stay really at the front of my saved highlights so you can find it easily. Do you see how my skin, remember I'm balanced to dry, live in a very humid climate, but you can kind of see that my skin even looks a little, sometimes people even comment and say it looks greasy, but for me, and I don't even do a super dewy look once I set, but it really does help with the way that foundation moves while you're blending it. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, even if I was very, very oily, and when I used to do skin prep, and when I did others' makeup, I wouldn't quite have it look as juicy. I'm gonna use that, it's better, as mine, but I definitely would not want it to be flat matte. I would still want to see a little bit of luminosity. That helps with glide. It's very important. Okay, I'm just gonna use what's left here underneath here. This looks so good. And since I have a little bit left, I'm gonna show you this. If you ever want to go get shade matched at Estee Lauder, do not leave with your shade until you let it dry down 10 minutes, because look at this. Look at the difference in shade right there. Even if I thin it out, that it looks yellow. So that is so important. Do not pick your shade until you let it completely dry down, because it could be chaos and you could go home with the wrong shade. But it's so nice. Now I have balance, right? I can go lighter with my concealer. I'm using 2.5C, and if I didn't have the corrector on underneath, sometimes this one can go a little too gray underneath my eye. So that's gonna be really helpful. I'm gonna go ahead, we're full coverage today. And what I'm doing there isn't really about coverage. I've got that covered, if you will, but I am using the shade to highlight. And I'm putting a lot on because it's Monday and we're having fun. The only time I would actually wear this much, but if you already do wear this much every single day, we don't judge. We have fun, wear your makeup. But for me personally, because we all are on a different makeup journey, the only time that I would have actually worn this much was when I was on stage. I don't know if you know this, but I used to sing a million years ago. That's why my @ is @RosenBen, because when I started this, we were a band. Now let's do a little blendy blend. If you do feel things starting to dry down and you're not enjoying your blend, what I'm gonna recommend you do is get a hydrating spray. Me and my Elemis one are back. I'm out of the M Cosmetics. Look how much I've already used. I'm a maniac. I love this one. I feel like it just pairs so nicely with makeup. Now, you notice how much I sprayed. It wasn't that much, but what I'm doing here is making sure that I don't dry down too quickly, because when things dry down and we're just, even with a sponge, damp or dry sponge, what can happen is we're gonna start to separate and lose coverage. So a little bit of a hydrating spray, not a setting spray, a hydrating spray. MAC Fix Plus is one. It's something that doesn't create a film on the skin. It just kind of activates and hydrates. That's what we're after in terms of a spray. Armani. This is one of my favorite liquid bronzers that has ever existed, but there are only 3 shades and we need more shades. We immediately need more shades because scrumptious, delightful, melty, so easy, better than any of the contour wands, anything out there, but we need more than 3 shades. It's one of the reasons I don't use it a lot. Because you're like, well, Rose, I don't ever see you use that. Yeah, because my friends are left out. But I did want to use it today. And also, brands do see my stories. So it's a good time to use it and request. And hopefully they listen. If not, we're not going to use it anymore. Apparently we're not going to use it right now because I don't know where my C40 went. All right, let's watch this melt 10. I'm just making sure my brush is nice and ready for the fluff. It's really good. And I'm just kind of buffing it down my neck. And you know when my hair is slick, look how that melts. When my hair is slicked back, guess what's going in my hair? Bronzer. Look at how easy that was. Gosh, they just need more shades. This formula. And you know what? I've had this for a long time. My hair's just stuck there. I've had this for a long time, and I'm always trying to find shade or formulas that are similar, but I haven't found one that is just this silky, because it's in the name, Luminous Silk. It's literally a liquid silk bronzer. So this eyeshadow, I'm pointing here, I don't know. It actually has quite a bit of pink in it. And the pink, even though the pink's a little bit more red on my skin tone, this is gonna put a little bit more red into this, but I'm gonna apply it on wet foundation so I get more pigment out of it. And I'm also gonna use a denser brush, and I'm actually going to kind of place it here, more towards the front of my face. Oh, that's fun. And the reason I place it there isn't really for face shape. It's more for catching the eye and being very close to that. Look how pretty that is. Makeup's fun. And then I kind of want to, remember it's Monday, we're wild. No one needs all this makeup, but I kind of wanted to use this color, and I'm going to put it on the back of my hand. But I'm actually going to grab it with this side because it's going to pick up less of it. And I'm going to put that right underneath just for a little bit more depth and transition. And remember, we're in a wet state. Everything's fine. We're not gonna have any issues layering. See the difference? Just a little bit more depth. And it can transition into that lighter pink once it gets closer to my eye. Now for the magic. I remember when I had to hide this. That was hard. It's such a habit for me to bring it up. Now, let's just make sure that we're nice and smooth it out. I don't think I have any creasing. I don't. A little bit there. Okay. And remember how much concealer we put on? That's definitely going to require a puff to really get in here to make sure it can really set all of that corrector and concealer. It's so good. Now, we talk about this. I'm still using a puff in the center, but I'm not going to use the puff on the outer part. In fact, I'm going to put a little extra powder. This is what I like to do when I do a fuller coverage base. I need to get that clog pour out. I see you. Then I'm going to take the puff brush, and then I'm just going to kind of buff over everything. Kind of bring that extra powder towards the bronzer, because I don't want to go directly on top. So that's important, so we don't change the color of everything, but we also do want to do a dusting. So I want to use this color here. This one's from Prada Beauty. This is kind of their classic green. If you wear contacts or you have sensitive eyes, instead of tugging and pulling, all you gotta do is take a dense brush and go meow, and then I'm gonna do this into the mirror. Don't ask. Ooh, these are so pigmented. And we love that because then we don't have to do as many passes. That's pretty. Let's go back with this again. It's fun. I'm gonna get this pretty close to the lash line. It's gonna make that green really pop. I know I'm doing a good job when my phone starts to not recognize me anymore. I'm not done. I'm having fun. I'm gonna take a dense brush. I'm gonna take the C32. I did label it that it's gonna be back in the fall, this brush, but just in case you missed it. And remember, this is for a Monday. We're just being wild. But I will say that this is a really seamless, delicious formula. Makeup Forever. they get formulas. Anytime you have a pro focused brand. Oh, and also something I always wanted to do my entire life was I always wanted to go to the Makeup Forever school in Paris. My budget did not allow that, so that's okay. But you know, it was a really cool dream to have growing up. So kind of what I'm doing here is I'm hitting points of the face, and I'm doing it a little bit dramatic. I'm going to soften that a little bit more, but I'm hitting points of the face where the light would naturally hit it really, really hard. For me right now, it's going to be right here. And this is a matte, so you get a really interesting effect when you use a matte, and also it can be more blurring. And I think sometimes we forget that we can highlight with a matte, but I do want to kind of remind you of that. But these are so thin and so silky. I'll do a look where it's not so wild. I'm gonna blend that. I know it's Milk Mustache, but I'll do a look and kind of show you when it's not this intense how you could incorporate this and what it could do for something you're more comfortable with, kind of an everyday look. Then I'll wipe this brush off, and then I'm just gonna press it in a little bit. Still intense, yes, but this is Feral Monday. Actually, I'm going to take a little extra of this, and then I'm going to highlight my Cupid's bow. I haven't done this in 1,000 years. This is going to make your lips look a little bit more plump, but I like the idea of doing it with a matte. This is one of my favorite lipsticks of all time, and I feel like it'll look really nice with this. This is Sellout from MAC. I'm just going to throw it on and then decide what lip liner I want. Oh yeah, this is, I'm ready to get that one on. In fact, I love this one so much, I actually keep it in my travel bag. So that's something to note. Actually, before I forget, I want to take this shade and just put a little bit here. Perfect. All right, now back to lips. Let's go more cool tone. I'm going to use Greige from MAC. I thought we'd just do a MAC lip. Remember, it's Feral Monday. I know this lip is going to be a little spicy, okay? It's pink and gray, basically. Oh, Lord, men don't even want it. So I'm not going to spray this yet because I want to see what happens when I spray a bunch of it. So I'm going to film a video on that. I haven't even tried it yet. Let's just spray it on my hand and see what's going on real quickly. I definitely know that this is a setting spray. I remember seeing the denatured alcohol in this one. If I'm not mistaken, let me go grab the ingredients because we can't just be out here assuming. But I'm 99% sure I read that. Okay, I didn't dream it. There it is right there. Right there. My finger's blue. It's definitely staying really nice and shiny and glassy. I think it's just going to give a really wet look to the skin, even more wet than this. So this is going to be that more of that film, and then this is the like a wet lockdown, if you will. I feel like this is just going to definitely be a little bit more runway. I do, which is not a bad thing. I just want to keep that in mind. I'm going to see how that dries on my hand, but I want to get wild with it and see what it does when I spray a bunch of it. So that's what the video is going to be, but we'll try it out more every day. We'll be doing that this week. So, but this is definitely not a melter. It's not a powder melter. It's not a hydrating spray. This is going to be a sealant setting spray. It definitely feels sticky. It's got the sticky. It's sticky. Yeah, it's sticky. Nothing else. There's nothing else to say about that. All right, my friends, I love y'all. Well, I'll come back and do those shots so you can screenshot or look at it or whatever. You know, my ending shots with back camera. But I am going to go finish filming everything. I might even put that shift right here as well. I think I might. Why not? We have fun. I love you with all, my hand is sticky. I'm gonna go wash this, but I love you with all of my heart. And I'm so grateful I have so many friends that want to put on makeup and hang out with me. So I'm grateful. I love you so much. I'm not sure if I'm going to post tonight. I'll go see what I got. And either way, I'll let you know, and I'll see you there. And if not, I'll see you. I'm back. I did one spray of this and I was actually going to record it. I have not touched it. It literally touched my skin and it separated this. So to be determined. Also, it just looks really, 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 really wet. It is dried down and it is sticky. Now I'm touching my face. I didn't do that before, but I wanted to give you an update. I feel like my makeup looks bad now. I'll keep y'all updated. I sprayed more. So what I'm thinking is this is reactivating, and it might not like that super long wear because again, we're not saying, oh, it's awful. I will say it is sticky. That is the true downside for me because I live in a humid climate. But what I'm thinking is this is really geared towards very glassy skin. And I did have on Estee Lauder Double Wear, which is a very long wear foundation. So I'm gonna try it with a different one because we don't all wear this much foundation every single day. So I can't really, that is so interesting. I can't really talk to that. Look at that. So I'll keep you updated. We don't scream and get mad at a product. We try to understand